Hey guys, I'm Ori Day, and in this video we're gonna take a look at some random stuff that do not make much sense in the Resident Evil video game series. This is very much a miscellaneous list off the top of my head that I've kind of been adding to over the years of playing these games, and I just never really had anyone to discuss it with until now. So with all that said, let's get right into it. Immunity to the T-virus. In Resident Evil Zero, Rebecca clearly gets bit by an eliminator in the dungeon and just shakes it off, even after Billy comes to her rescue. No mention of the bite is made and we just move on with the game as if nothing happened. It's a good thing the government never found out about this incident, or else Rebecca might have suffered a similar fate to Sherry Birkins.
Maybe it's your blood they should be testing for vaccines.
They already did. More than I could stand.
Intelligent zombie. We know for a fact that the zombies in the Resident Evil series are single-minded creatures with barely enough brain cells to do more than just shuffle around and find something to eat. And yet there is an exception to every rule, as in the case of this zombie in the original Resident Evil 1 who can apparently work a doorknob. While all other zombies in the games are busy slamming themselves into doors with fake hopes of getting through, this particular zombie is very much a go-getter and would have definitely piqued the T-virus researchers' interest had they been alive to witness this. Unfortunately, they were all busy being itchy and tasty at the same time to concentrate on much else. Indifference to large flying cockroaches. Ada is definitely a professional at whatever she does, but how she never even flinches at the sight of these sizable roaches flying at her in the ventilation hole will forever be beyond me. Fan service. Resident Evil is no secret to fan service, mostly in the form of unlockable alternate costumes for characters. But for some reason, Capcom likes to go the extra mile with Jill Valentine. Case in point, Jill's default costume in Resident Evil 3 being nothing more than a miniskirt paired with a tube top. Hardly appropriate gear for surviving a T-virus infested city, but hey, at least she looks good. The remake actually takes that into consideration by giving her pants this time around, except that they also go ahead and add in this scene. I don't know how they managed to make a giant T-virus infected flea sticking a pointy appendage down Jill's throat look even remotely sexual, but they seem to manage it just fine. There is also this particular scene that takes place in the Umbrella Chronicles, which I think speaks for itself. Immunity to oxygen deprivation. In Resident Evil Code Veronica, Claire runs around fighting a tyrant in the open cargo hatch of an airborne plane without any signs of hypoxia. Now you might think that adrenaline is the thing keeping her going, except that the body would use even more oxygen in that state, so she's either just superhuman or another victim of plot armor, or likely both, seeing as how she also manages to avoid every single bullet raining down on her point blank from the dual submachine guns wielded by a grief-stricken teenager in the throes of puberty. Giant Angry Statue. The original Resident Evil 4 has a lot of out there moments, I dare say more than any other game in the series. But out of all the ridiculous things that happen in this game, a giant statue of the rather tiny Salazar chasing Leon only to be promptly sabotaged by its own weight is definitely up there. The lasers come in a close second. Boulder Punching. Now, as much of a never-ending meme as this has become since Resident Evil 5's debut in 2009, the video compiling stuff that don't make much sense in the Resident Evil series just isn't complete without the infamous Boulder Punching Chris, so here we are. Playground Shenanigans. Chris and Pierce definitely had the most grim campaign in Resident Evil 6, and Capcom probably realized this, hence why we get the chance to break the tension a bit by frolicking around in a deserted playground on our way to chasing a giant half-invisible snake. There's definitely nothing creepy about two buff men in combat gear having fun on playground equipment with a stern look on their faces. Also, how Chris manages to not break the spring rocker with his weight, I do not know. Ever evolving appearances. For some reason, the faces and in some cases, even the ballistics of all recurring characters in the Resident Evil series have been changed at some point, and even more so with the recent wave of remakes. Either the new Resident Evil engine has issues limiting continuity, or Capcom is just indecisive as hell, though it seems none have undergone more updates than the many faces of Chris Redfield. Apparently, Capcom really can't settle on what they want him to look like. On a side note, looking at the evolution of Leon's appearance, he also seems to have undergone a lot of changes in the facial department, even pre-remake era. It's probably just the hair giving an illusion of consistency. Torture chambers. One recurring theme in Resident Evil is the use of torture chambers to show just how sadistic and twisted the villains in the games are, as if creating the viral abominations that give rise to the games in the first place isn't enough. Capcom seems to think we need even more reasons to not develop Stockholm Syndrome and start empathizing with the enemies. So that's all I have for this video. If you made it this far, maybe you'd like to take a look at some of these other videos, or maybe not. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.